How's it going, fight fans? Welcome to mindforcombat. If this is the first time you checked out my channel or any of my content, why don't you consider helping me to grow my fight platform by hitting the subscribe button and getting involved in the conversation in the comment section below. I've also recently hit 600, so I wanted to say a big thank you to each and every single one of you who helped me reach 600 by watching my videos, sharing it, and just hitting the subscribe button. That makes a big difference to me. So I'm really grateful to that. So thank you to each and every single one of you. For this video, I'm going to be breaking down the fight that I am most excited about for UFC 238, and that says a lot because the UFC 238 card is an incredible one. This fight is Tony Ferguson versus Donald Cerrone, and to me it stands out on the card for a couple of different reasons, and let's talk about that. So we have the return of Tony Ferguson, who's been horribly inactive over the last couple of years. I think he's fought once last year, and once the year before that he's had his injuries, had to pull out of his fights with Khabib Nurmagomedov, and then he's had all his personal issues going on as well, and I really hope he's doing all right now. And he's fighting Donald Cerrone, who's come back down to the lightweight division, has gone 2-0 and with 2 finishes since he's dropped back down to 155 pounds, and has really looked like a different cowboy since the birth of his child. And this is a fight that really stands out to me, and I just expect nothing but fireworks. And like, as the old saying goes, you shouldn't really say that going into any fight because then it's probably going to turn out to be a crappy fight, but I don't see how that's possible. This is a really fun fight between two dynamic fighters who have a lot to offer in the ring, and it's really, really exciting fight. So let's go through the tail of the tape and talk about some of these figures and how that will impact the fight. So they're both older for the lightweight division, particularly considering it's a division that relies on reflexes and movements more so than others, and obviously a lot of the contenders at 155 tend to be faster, so like heavyweights can get away with being a bit older. At lightweight, not so much. Tony Ferguson, he is 35 years old coming into this fight off a near 1 year layoff. I think his last fight was Anthony Pettis in October last year, so it's been a little while. And he fights Donald Cerrone, who's 36 years old. Donald Cerrone has looked rejuvenated at 36 years old, and he still looks like he's got plenty of fire left in the tank. I do wonder with Tony Ferguson coming into this fight though, because obviously he had that really bad injury last year which he healed himself, and then came back and had that war with Anthony Pettis, and then B, I'm not going to go into it, but all of the personal issues that he's been having, how has that impacted him? Are we going to get the same ferocious Tony Ferguson that we've grown to know and love? Their records. Tony Ferguson has a record of 24 wins and 3 losses. He's fighting Donald Cerrone, who's 36-11. Now, both of these guys have tons of experience under the spotlights and main event fights in the UFC, so I don't think any of them is going to be, Tony Ferguson, who's had less fight, he's certainly not at any disadvantage in terms of experience. He may have had less fights, but he's a true veteran of the game in his own right. He's a top contender. He's fought under the main event spotlights, and he's a really good fighter. So this is a really good pairing. Tony Ferguson stands at 5'11". It's 2 inches taller than 2 inches shorter than Donald Cerrone, who stands at 6'1". Is that going to come into play? It is interesting to think about because Donald Cerrone is a striker and he uses his length in his striking, so that is something worth considering. But then, to be fair, Tony Ferguson does have a 3.5-inch reach advantage over Donald Cerrone with a 76.5-inch reach as compared to Donald Cerrone's 73-inch reach. So, and Tony Ferguson's a great boxer. He's also a great striker, and he's a kind of in-your-face boxer, and we'll get into their styles. Matter of fact, let's get into their styles right now. So Tony Ferguson. When I'm describing Tony Ferguson, I like to describe him as a in-your-face, high-pressure, high-octane fighter. And I think obviously a lot's been made of his conditioning and his cardio, and he fights in a way that represents that supreme conditioning and cardio. Tony Ferguson's got that high pressure boxing style. He's going to be always in your face. He does throw kicks, he does go for takedowns, he does all of it, but the vast majority of his strikes come from his boxing. He's got really good boxing. Also his conditioning, he relies on his conditioning as well. His grappling is great. He's got that great wrestling background, but he's an unorthodox grappler. He'll go for Imanari rolls in the middle of the fight, and he just does some crazy stuff off his back. He obviously gets submissions off his back. He submitted Kevin Lee off his back, and Tony Ferguson is a really talented fighter. He fights Donald Cerrone, who's a Muay Thai striker. He uses his kicks and range very well. He's got great kicks in this fight, and I think that's going to really help him in this fight because I think a lot of this fight will be handled on the feet. So I think Donald Cerrone is going to be using his kicks. That's going to come into play in this fight. He's got great grappling as well and underrated wrestling. But I think Tony Ferguson's wrestling will cancel out Donald Cerrone's. I think Tony Ferguson's going to have advantage in the wrestling. And, in terms of the grappling, I don't feel like he's going to be able to submit Tony Ferguson, but he might be off a head kick, might be able to rock him off a head kick and grab him and submit him like that. But generally, I think if this was a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu match, I would see that it's pretty even, and I think maybe I would even give the edge to Tony Ferguson. Obviously, he does a lot of great work with Eddie Bravo, and he's gotten a lot of great submissions, as has Donald Cerrone. This is a great fight, guys. The key wins. Now, this section of the video could have its own video in its own right. So for Tony Ferguson, when we're talking about key wins, we're talking about him winning the Ultimate Fighter tournament, which is a great tournament to win. He's beaten the likes of Josh Thompson. He beat Edson Barboza. He's beaten Rafael Dos Anjos. He's beaten Kevin Lee. He beat Anthony Pettis in his most recent fight. And that's kind of key because Rafael Dos Anjos and Anthony Pettis are mutual opponents, but they're a combined 3-0 over Donald Cerrone, whereas they're a combined 0-3 against Tony Ferguson. I don't want to play MMA math, but that is something worth considering. Then you got Don Cerrone, whose key wins are guys like Ali Aquinta, Alexander Hernandez more recently. He beat Mike Platinum Perry. That was a great win. He's beaten Edson Barboza in his own right as well. He's beaten Eddie Alvarez. He's beaten Benson Henderson in the trilogy fight. It was a contentious win, but a win over Benson Henderson is always a good win. What are some of the issues coming into this fight? Now, for Tony Ferguson, when I'm thinking about his issues, you got to wonder what's going on in the background. And like I said, I'm not going to get into it, but what is going on in the background? How's that going to impact him in this fight? And what kind of state of mind is Tony Ferguson in coming into this fight? Because it wasn't that long ago that it all happened, that his wife made him report and the restraining order against him. What on earth is going on? He's also he also eats a lot of shots in his fights. He got dropped by Lando Venata. He got dropped by Anthony Pettis. You know, he eats a lot of shots and he pushes through it, but your chin only wears away, and as you're getting older, your ability to take shots doesn't improve, especially when that weight cut starts to impact you. And then Donald Cerrone, his shots will be head kicks, straight shin to dome. You can't just eat those shots and keep coming forward. They will have an impact. For Donald Cerrone, his issues have always been, he struggles when he's fighting like pressure fighters, guys that are high octane in his face the entire time. If he's getting punched up, he's been hittable when in boxing exchanges, and Tony Ferguson will look to box with him. Also, he's a slow starter, notably slow starter, and I have no doubt that Tony Ferguson is going to come out like a bat out of hell and swarm him from the very beginning. The X factor in this fight for Tony Ferguson is going to be his pressure, in my opinion. And for Donald Cerrone, his X factor is going to be the fact that he is rejuvenated. And are we seeing a different Donald Cerrone ever since his son's been born? He seems like a different man, finally focused on that belt. He slowed down the pace of his fighting to 3 fights a year. But then again, he's taking this fight on short notice, so it's interesting. Let's get into the fight now and let me make my prediction. So I see that this fight is going to be handled on the feet. I feel like Don Cerrone's got good enough wrestling to keep it standing if Ferguson shoots and vice versa. I also feel like Tony Ferguson's going to want to stand up and box and get in his face like he always does. Don Cerrone likes to strike. And I feel like Don Cerrone is going to have a lot of success in this fight. It's going to be a very closely contested fight in my opinion, but I feel like what's going to happen is, Tony Ferguson is going to come out and land some good clean shots early, and he's going to land some shots to remember. Then you're going to have Don Cerrone start to get some kicks in, going to start to get some distance, going to start to work his stand-up, maybe do what he can. I feel like he'll get cut by Tony Ferguson at some point. I feel like this is going to be a really grueling back and forth war of a fight, and I think it's going to go the complete 3 rounds, which in itself is wrong. This should be a 5-round fight, but I feel like this is a fight that's going to go the full 3 rounds. And I feel like at the end of the 3 rounds, Tony Ferguson will get his hands raised in a competitive fight. Don Cerrone will have his moments, but I feel like the pressure of Tony Ferguson, which has historically always been an issue for Donald Cerrone, Tony Ferguson's, his crazy mentality, being in his face the whole time, the boxing, he's going to cut him up, he's going to make it hard, he's going to push on him. Early, he's going to amount some points, and I reckon he'll take the first round. Don Cerrone will have his moments throughout the second and the third, but I feel like Tony Ferguson is going to chip away and get the win. So guys, for my official prediction, I'm going with Tony Ferguson to get the decision over a competitive 3-round fight. Anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Let me know how you see this fight, guy, and if I'm off the mark and you think I'm wrong, no problem. Tell me I'm off the mark and completely wrong, and give me your breakdowns in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, guys, and if you haven't already, please subscribe, share the video out to your friends and family to help me grow my platform, and thank you, guys. Mind for Combat.